Hi everyone, today we're here with Maíra Rayanne, soon to be author, and we're going to have a discussion with her, ask her a few questions, and so let's get started. So I was wanting to ask you, if you could speak to your younger self, what would you tell your younger self right now?
You know, the great thing about age is as we get older, we gain a lot of wisdom, and then we look back and we think about things that maybe we could have done differently. And if I think about my teenage years, I I had a difficult few years as a teenager, and I would tell myself, try not to sweat it. Try not to sweat whatever you're going through, because it will all work itself out in the end. I think when we're teenagers, we tend to think like, this is the end of the world, whatever I'm going through in school or at home, and it's really not. And so I would just tell myself, like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Everything is going to work itself out, and you ultimately don't have anything to worry about. So just try to tell myself, like, take a breather. It's going to be okay.
So just reassurance. Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Absolutely, because I think we get too tied down to these little things that are going on around us and the commotion around us, and especially nowadays, I think this society where there's so much bullying going on, it's insane. It was pretty bad when I was a teenager, but not at this level as we see today. So I think especially now, more than ever, teenagers do need that reassurance that you're not alone and it's going to be okay. Just keep doing your thing, be yourself. It's going to be okay.
That's a wonderful message. So yeah, the next question is, has anything impacted your life lately?
Well, actually, so last year was the hardest year of my life, and I went through something very unexpected. I had somebody that I cared about a great deal who took his life. And him and I had only known each other for 5 months, and it still impacted me greatly. I had never directly experienced a suicide loss. It's something you tend to hear about on the news or see in a movie or something like that, but I was with him on his last day. And so that was very impactful. I had experienced grief before. I lost my mother a few years ago, but it was natural death. And so with suicide loss, it's not just grief, it's grief and trauma combined. And that takes it to a completely different level. And that really kind of shifted my focus a lot in life. Right now, I'm preparing to do training later this month to get certified in suicide prevention and awareness, to be a mentor and a caregiver. And I just think it's a topic that we really need to talk about. One of my favorite quotes is, don't be a part of the problem, be a part of the solution. And so that's what I'm trying to do, because I think suicide is becoming such an epidemic. There's more than 40,000 people who take their lives in the U.S. every year, and the ages of 18 to 29 is the second leading cause of death right now is suicide. And that should be alarming. And the fact that we see suicide on the news all the time, that should really make us pause and think, like, what can we do? What can we do to make people feel less alone and to just give them hope? Because I think people need hope nowadays. We all have those moments, I think, that we go into a tunnel vision. Well, we call it in the community a tunnel vision, which is you think whatever you're going through is the worst thing, and you think there's no way you can get out of it. And it feels overwhelming, and you feel like you're a burden to others. But that's not the truth. The truth is that you can get out of it. If you just give it one more hour, one more day, you can get out of it. And so, yeah, so it was a very difficult time for me last year. I immediately, right after, got plugged into the resources that I needed for myself, whether it was counseling, support groups, church, to really start my healing journey. And it's changed me in many ways. And now I want to try to to just really help others as a result.
What sort of activities will you be doing in the training? Like what?
I'm not actually sure, to be honest with you. So it's called Assist. So the training is called Assist. It's a 2-day workshop. It's 2 days. And I know I'm going to meet other fellow survivors of suicide. So in our community, survivors are the ones who are left behind. They're not the ones who've attempted. So I'm going to meet other survivors, and I really don't know what to expect, but I'm looking forward to it. I have a friend of mine who is also a suicide survivor, and we're doing a workshop in the spring. We're going to do a workshop that's both educational and healing, and we want to reach out to colleges and universities or anybody who's lost somebody or wants to be better informed, or maybe they know somebody who is dealing with a mental illness and they don't know how to reach out to their friend, because that's another aspect in terms of suicide loss is 90% of people who take their lives have a mental illness. So that's something that needs to be addressed as well. So I don't know what to expect exactly with the training, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. And as long as we can join together and try to make a difference, that's what matters to me.
Something that strikes me about suicide is if those people could just see how much people cry after it happens, they would never commit suicide.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something they don't realize is that they want to get rid of their pain, right? So that's one of the main reasons a person will take their life, is they want to get rid of their pain. But what they fail to realize is that pain then carries over to the people they leave behind. And it stays with you. It stays with you, and it leaves you out of breath, and it can really impact you to the point of PTSD. I dealt with PTSD for the first couple of months right after it happened. I was completely paralyzed. And it's sad that they don't see that. The person that I lost, he had lost somebody to suicide years ago, somebody he dated. So I never thought that he would do the same thing, and decide to take his life. But sometimes you don't see it coming. And even though even though the person who takes their life, they understand that maybe their family's going to be upset, their friends are going to be upset. In that moment where they make the decision or where they're impulsive, it doesn't matter to them. All that matters to them in that moment is that they're in such incredible pain and they're dealing with incredible shame and turmoil, and they just want it all to end. And that's where hope comes in. That's where we need to be there for each other as human beings. We need to be there for each other. After I went through this, one of my best friends said to me, I need you alive. I know right now you're going through the worst time in the world, but I love you and I need you to still be here. And that made all the difference. So sometimes it's a little thing.
Message that somebody wants you to stay here with them is very powerful. And I'm glad that you're actually building something on top of what happened to effect positive change. That's an amazing message.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just every little bit that we can do, I think, counts.
And so you said that you have a memoir coming out soon. When is that, and what is the title, and can you tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the memoir is called Georgia Haven, a love story across states and time. It's currently scheduled to come out in April, late April, if not sooner. So it's about a relationship of mine that was the most significant relationship I ever had, with a man who changed my life in many ways. And when we first met, everything was great. And then after a while, we lost touch. But 2 years later, fate intervened and brought us back into each other's lives. So it's the story of everything that happened in the course of those 3 years, and through all the challenges and the obstacles and those unexpected surprises, and just how our story just kind of flourished in its own way, and it took a life of its own. And this is a person that I was madly in love with. And he opened up my eyes to life in ways I had never known before. And he taught me so many things, including what it means to really unconditionally love somebody. Those are words we kind of throw out there, unconditional love. But I got to actually put it into practice and see what that means. And reading the memoir, the reader can then understand what it is, all these different unexpected things that happen that really can test your love for each other. But it's about whether or not you stick it through in the end that matters. So yeah, it's a story that's very dear to me.
Cover, it looks fascinating. You've been through so much you're quite young. You've been through a lot. That's incredible.
Thank you. Yes, the cover is actually, it's a real picture. People tend to think it's a painting, and it's not. It's actually a picture of the subject of the book. So Declan, that's not his real name, but I did change his name in the book to protect his privacy, and that was a name that he chose. So it is a picture of Declan at the beach. We were in Melbourne, Florida. And yes, and so I've been through a lot, definitely, in my life. I've lost I've lost my mother. I've dealt with suicide loss. I've gone through some other very challenging things, but I'm still thankful to be here. And I'm very passionate about just connecting with other people. We all have different life experiences, and we can all learn and grow from each other.
That's a wonderful message to end on. And please do let us know when your book comes out. We'll be sure to follow you on Facebook, and we look forward to reading it. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Thank you.